I've been before as
You've
well.
been before as well. Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah. Om Shanti. So we have, so we have this man and spirituality um, under Brahma Kumari's organization. We have been doing these kind of sessions, maybe at different levels. But then we thought of starting it at Addison Center. So this is a kind of a workshop, but we can see we can do it on an ongoing basis. The the theme of this man and spirituality many times being a man, being an generally an head of the family or the one who has to really take a lot of responsibilities, right? It becomes it becomes very important that if I stay positive or if I stay focused, then I can maybe take the whole family in that sense and really help myself and help my family also in the same way, right? So it is like it is not about now man as such, but it is like being an individual and then really however whatever I do, I should be happy about doing it, and then it should be likewise that others also feel appreciated and loved in the same way or happy at the same time. So we wanted to have this conversation. So in a way that if there are holding many things and trying to do everything best possible way, many times there is a stress, and there is sometimes burden. Sometimes you feel heavy about it, and there is no platform where we can share and we can help one another. So this topic, man and spirituality, is basically that we can all come together, share one another, or can share experience, and based on that experience, we can all learn to move forward. Sometimes there are always like sometimes we are not feeling good. Yeah, we will be feeling low. That enthusiasm, that zeal is not there. But everyone has that aim, right? That we want to move forward, right? And so, how to really see and how to help one another in that way. So, that is what it is. Okay. So
So
before we start, I think you can. Yeah, you can do that. So this is there is a questionnaire which just to see what you are and where you are at, and so that you can analyze yourself, and then we can move into the next segment, right?
it's just a short questionnaire, few questions, multiple choice, that just give an idea of how you guys feel about certain topics. And give you a clipboard. Yeah. Okay, I can just.
No, this would be easier.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Another good thing about these questionnaire is once you have it, it'll give us a sense of what kind of themes or topics to spend more time discussing, right? It'll give you the most the most benefit depending on where you are, what you're looking for, and all of that. Are you done? Yeah. I'll give you the clipboard back, please. No.
Okay, Om Shanti. First of all, thank you very much for coming here with the invitation in this cold weather and taking time for yourself. We are happy to have you here. So hopefully you will have some takeaway end of the session to improve on ourselves. So in this session, so we segmented the 3 portions. So right now, so I'm going to just cover the human doing versus human being. You know, we all know, so we are a human being, right? So lately, what happened, we are very busy doing things externally. And slowly we are, you know, forgetting our real true self, which is hidden underneath. So in the spirituality, that is go inwards, it's main thing. So that is why we have to first understand. So what is doing versus being, right? So there is a model that is a popular model, which is we use it to give differentiate this, which is the iceberg model. You know, when you look at the iceberg, right? So let's see the picture. Yeah.
I'll take a picture.
Yeah, click on it, just click on the
Yeah, that's fine. We'll start.
That's fine.
It's working, right?
It was on off. So that it- Yeah. Now it is-
Hmm? So yeah, right. Yeah. With that, we can do it, right?
Yeah. You all can introduce.
It was not.
So I can go first.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Hemant and I have been with Brahma Kumaris for last 35 plus years. And I am an IT professional and came into this organization very young and found that the spirituality which is taught here is very, very effective, very practical, and so that was that I found very fascinating. And when I started implementing it, I felt that yeah, this is amazing. And so then I never saw back. Then I thought that yeah, this is the way of living life and spending.
Yeah, my name is Sudhakar. So I started this practice doing it in like 6 years back. I started this journey and I'm doing it. So professional wise, I'm working for Bank of America. So it is this real spiritual practice is really helping take my life in a positive manner comparatively before and after. I can really feel the benefit of it in every aspect, professional, personal, family relationships.
Hi, I'm Palak. I've been part of this organization for about 7 years. I love the fact that it's a world spiritual university, and they teach you the art of right thinking. Really, any situations that come through to you in your life, how do you manage it? How do you handle it? How do you come out in a extremely positive and, optimistic outlook? So implementing a lot of what I've learned here has really helped, and improved my relationships, improved just overall happiness. And so it's nice to be able to share that with others. We'd love to know more about you guys. Could you give us a little bit about what your names are and what kind of interested you in coming to this session?
I guess I can start. My name's Kush. My parents are both followers of this knowledge, have been for maybe 10, 15 years. I'm not sure how long.
Yeah.
And I myself have done a few courses here in the past, so I'm familiar. And it just sounded like a good topic that's very central to, I think, like being a man and masculinity and sort of our roles in society, and how that can be tied in with spirituality. So I had a little bit of time, so I figured why not,
Yeah.
to come. I guess professionally, I'm still a student, so I'll be graduating from medical school in May. But I guess technically right now I'm unemployed. So
That's okay, doesn't matter.
Very nice. Welcome.
thank you.
Nice to
Hi,
have you.
my name is Raj. My wife is a member here. She's been regular here for quite some years. So today she's mentioned about something, that we are having a different session today. And that's just interested as she told both of us, why don't you guys go and try it out, see how you feel. Well, I've been here with her a couple of times earlier for
Okay.
different sessions. I think I've seen you speaking here when we were here.
Okay.
So that's how. And professionally, I work for Citibank. Been there for about 15, 20 years, 15 to 17 years.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Very good.
Welcome.
My name is Rishi, and yeah, I came because my mom kind of introduced me to this, and she's been in this for like a while.
Yeah.
And she gave us the idea and said that it might be something fun to come look at it. It's a good topic for you guys, so we thought it'd be good. And I've came and done a couple of youth classes and courses here throughout the last few years. So yeah.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yeah, we share each other what we, then take something home.
Yeah. This is a really nice session, and it's supposed to be a workshop to make it interactive. So, we'll bring up topics that we think are especially relevant for men, right, in spirituality, and we can have an honest discussion. And I think there's three main topics on the spirituality that we are looking to discuss with you. And that is, to be or not to be, right, or to be versus to do. Another part is courage, and where does courage lie within the spirituality realm, and also success. How do we see success, and where does it fit within spirituality, right? So Sudhakar Bhai will start, and he'll talk to you on the first topic.
So, the human being and doing, right? So, what is actually, do you have any idea about what is doing, what is being? How you put it that you can share, actually, right? So, what do you think we are, human doing or human being, or both?
Mostly human doing.
Human doing,
If you do work,
right?
you just keep on focus on getting that done. I mean, you have your material work. Right? I mean, you have a house, you have a mortgage, you have a car, you have,
True. Very true.
and then you have to pay up lease money and whatnot, right? So you're so focused on that fact. So we keep on doing stuff to satisfy that kind of a need where you don't fall into a defaulter, right? That's the key. So it's like I think it is different for different person. Like I think we started from saying that responsibility, right? See, when you become the head of the family, responsibility automatically is. I mean, it's for everybody, I guess.
Right. It is.
It just comes within yourselves. Yeah, I have to take the ownership of the fact that now I am the head of
Right.
right. I think it might be different for him and for
Yeah.
him because
But
there's
still,
still
there is always a
students and then
responsibility in some sense,
Correct.
in something, right? Maybe if, say, for example, someone is studying, responsibilities that I
to
have
get
to
good marks.
study well, right? To study well, and maybe if
The
I'm
goal oriented.
yeah, so that is always there.
Yeah, so at times that's what I'm saying, thinking that it's always you're doing something, right?
Right,
You will keep
true.
on doing to get to a goal.
True.
Human being is a concept. But
Mhm.
do we satisfy ourselves calling a human being yet? We don't know. I think
Okay.
probably that's what you guys can tell us.
Okay.
What it means for us to be a human being.
Yeah, the way I look at it is like human doing is all the actions we take. The human being part is like the impact that those actions have, right, on ourselves and also those around us. Mostly those around us, because I think as men, most of the time we never think back and say like, oh, I did a good job. It's always like, well, how can I do better tomorrow, right? Or how can I earn more? How can I do better? Or
Mhm.
There's always room for
exactly.
next. Yeah. Go ahead.
And how do you relate that?
I mean, yeah, it's like day to day, you know, I don't even think I'm just going through school, doing the same classes every single day, after school practice and all that. I think that's all just doing, and then I think the human being part is kind of getting a little left behind in a sense,
Mhm.
because I'm like in a kind of blindless state, going through the same motions every day, and I think that I need to connect a little bit more to the human being part of myself instead of keep going and doing every single thing just day to day, not even thinking about it. So
Very good. So yeah, that's pretty much what we see more of in this modern world and society. Next one. So that we discussed, right? Mostly all the points related to doing only came so far, right? Not much of being. Right? So that is what widespread. That is why we see the impact like not so, what we see, it's not so positive, not majority, right? For example, recent um, events, whatever happening, right? All if you look at it all over the world, you see lots of negativity pitching in because we have started losing little bit of that being the self, right? So the more doing is taking competition, racing, we are just running towards something. We are changing the goal. Goal is keep changing. When I came, I just want 6 years and then go back. That was the goal actually. It's been 23 years. I'm still here.
Yeah, for
And
me
the
it was
goal.
3 months.
Yeah?
For me it was 3 months in 2005, I believe.
Right. So everything becoming conditional doing, right? So at one point we have to stop and think why we are doing all these things. So are we really having constant happiness, constant success in whatever we are defining? So, yeah, which do you feel you prioritize more in your daily life, doing, being, or why? So, priority is based on what? Right? Success or the happiness, right? Like on the during the process. So, I am happy or I'm just running towards and achieving and going towards some goal, and then I'm thinking, okay, if I achieve it, then I'll be like happy. Yeah. So that is what it is made here, what we feel you prioritize more in daily life. It's a goal, achievement, or the happiness during the process. You feel fulfilled with your current balance between doing, being, right? Not. I think pretty much in the beginning itself we shared pretty much everything related to why not. Okay. So now we churned more on that being and doing and the differences and which one, why, how. So now we'll understand a little bit of that doing and being, what exactly with some picture. So this is what it is. So right now, So what we see, this is the iceberg.
Mm.
So the top portion is the one is doing part. So the invisible part is the behind, right? We have the big portion of it, 75% is hidden, which is actually our inner self. Right? So it is invisible. So what we believe, what we think, what we feel, all are hidden here. So what I am thinking, you cannot see it, you cannot feel it, right? So only the outcome, the form, what I speak, that only you can just make a judgment. Right? So the being, actually it is hidden. Nowadays in the modern world, you can see the being is like mostly hidden. Even recent, news, there is so and so, he goes and does something. And then after some time, the family people know through the media, and the friends knows, oh, I don't know, this is the guy, he's very good in the college, he did pretty good, he's a friend of mine, I never thought he would do it. Right? So what is the reason? So why we are not able to understand? Because the being was hidden. So we cannot there we are not showing what we are outside. So rather we are just masking ourselves with what we do and act, so the other person can relate it based on that doing. This is how the relationships, the the personalities are moving towards right now. So once we lose that inner self, this is why the problem starts coming. So now our goal here is to go reverse, go to deep into that the bottom portion of it, and live in that values instead of living with this temporary and limited values. So that is what here we are going to actually go into. So this hidden portion is the one we have to actually focus. Rather, we are just focusing on the results.
I think that's the next one.
So in spirituality, the main thing, once we understand this doing and being, then we can go deep dive inwards and then start living based on that true values. Lots of hidden treasures are there under that 75%. So we have to go inside, the love, the purity, the happiness. So everything is, if you are actually using these core values and to go towards the goal, then in the process, so we can travel happily. We can just find the happiness instead of just waiting for the result to feel that happiness. So this is like a process. The whole process, you will be going with the true values and doing things. So instead of just doing things, we are just using the core values and building upon that, the core values and doing. So that will give a permanent, happiness. The result is like, it's guaranteed result. It's whatever the positive outcome of it. So you want to do that activity, or we'll just go to the next one?
We'll go next one.
Yeah.
Any time.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Sudhakar bhai. So, in terms of our next topic, we want to talk about courage, right? Now, courage is important. We all know courage is important. The question is, though, which button do we push?
Right.
This one? Why do we need it? We know it's important, but what does it give us, right? In worldly life, courage is important for many reasons. When you think of courage, why do you think it's important in your life? What does it allow you to do?
It's like a catalyst, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's kind of like the starter in your car, right? You could have fuel, you have a working engine, you have everything you need for it to run, but you need something to actually get it going,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that courage from within is like that catalyst that gets the action and then the reaction going.
Yes, very good. So you're talking about it more in terms of zeal and enthusiasm. If you have that zeal and enthusiasm, you can get started on whatever it is you're looking to go for.
Yeah, it's like that, like the little nudge you need,
Mm-hmm.
right, to like push the boulder down the hill, basically.
Yeah, very good. Anyone else?
It's like for me, courage is like that kind of feeling you have to take risks in a sense, and like face your fears and have that little voice in your head saying that you have to do this, and it's something that you're gonna need to do anyways. Whether that be in school or just day-to-day lives, it can be pretty useful either way.
Mm-hmm. So again, motivation. Yeah,
Very nice.
wonderful.
For me, it is like the milestone. Right? If you have a milestone in front of you, the steps that needed to get to that milestone, that needs courage. And there could be multiple paths to it, but which path are you going to take? Which is going to, it just defines yourself.
Mhm.
What you want to do as next, and do you have that zeal in you, which we are talking
Mhm.
about, to take that next step?
Yeah.
Or there might be some easier paths too, but might not be the right path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. All of you had mentioned courage in the context of motivation, zeal. How do we get up and go, right? How do we achieve our goals? But no one is so far mentioned it helps us overcome our obstacles, right? It gives us our ability to judge right and wrong, right? The courage we need to stand up against things that we believe in are, is not right. But so it's a multitude of things, like you mentioned, right? So that's great. In your life, looking back, where have you found the need to have courage, right? We live our day-to-day lives where, right? But there are instances where we are tested, right? And we have to find some resolve inside. We have to find some strength to overcome something. Have you guys encountered anything like that?
Well, for me, I guess this summer I went to Europe with me and my school, and
Mhm.
it's the first time I've traveled like that far without my parents. I think that was definitely like nerve-wracking, and it was just like a completely different experience because it's just me, my friends, and maybe like two teachers going to a completely different country, and I've never really been that far from my parents in a like ever. So that definitely took a lot of courage for me, and like so I still get really surprised of how I went all the way there and just
Mhm.
didn't even like be that scared as I needed to be.
It's wonderful. You overcame those obstacles, those inner fears, right? It's wonderful. Any other examples?
And what was the experience?
It was fun. I mean, it was definitely different. I mean, you don't have like that or you have more of a sense of freedom when you're just like going around with your friends than if I'm with my parents. But it was definitely a different experience.
I think
And that's how we learn. See,
Yeah.
when we are put up to a very adverse situation, and at that time we have to take some decisions, or like this was like must going to this kind of a trip, even though you're not, but it is like there is one side there is that maybe a pressure or there is a nervousness at the same time, but at the same time you will make the right decisions and just go out for it. So courage, what it really does is it gives you, enables you to have to experience something different because you are now stepping into an unknown territory, right? So that requires
courage also makes you responsible. Like for his example, right? Him being away, and what I felt is when he came back, he did things there, yes. But he was very responsible about it. Where he doesn't think all those when I am around with him,
Of
right?
course.
Because it's like he knows, my dad is going to make that decision
Yeah.
or whatnot, right? But him being there when I'm talking to him every other day, right? I could feel he's very responsible of the fact that I have a dorm room and I should sleep by 10:30 because tomorrow morning I have this
Mhm.
set of things that I have to do, and he was very willingly trying to do it, right? So
Yeah.
I think courage itself gives you that responsibility as well, right? That I have to follow through.
Yes. Yes.
In my example, I think for me, I believe I've always been very courageous. I was, even from very young days, I was okay to take risks. I will take risks. I will join a company where uh, it's a new, I don't know whether it's going to run through or not, right? Like, and it has been, right? The first 3 companies I joined was, they shut off in 3 to 4 months. So I think I was young and I could take that risk. It was easier at that point of time. So the risk and courage at that point of time for me was equal. But essentially 2.5 years back, when my dad passed away, that took me courage, because all of a sudden, the next day I became the head of the family. I have a brother back in India. My mom is there, and then their family, him, my wife, and things. I started feeling that oh shit, you know what? Whatever my dad was doing, I have to do. You know? So, but it was more of when I think about it, right? I didn't need courage. I just need at that point of time was a support, right? Things were already in place. I didn't have to come and do any changes or anything like that. But as soon as that happened, or when things started settling, I started thinking more of, what more should be done? Do I have to make some changes? All that. But in reality, it never. But for me to gather that courage and say that, you know what, we are all doing what we are supposed to do, right? That, I think at that point of time, realized, what courage means, right? It's not just taking risks or having responsibilities. It is a collective thing that you do, which enables you to live your life.
Yeah. So I think you touched on a really nice point. Change.
Yeah.
Right? Change requires courage.
Absolutely.
Right? And in life, we find a lot of changes. Sometimes ones we impose on ourselves, right? That we say, I want to make this change, or sometimes change just comes to us when we least expect it, and we have to rise to the challenge. And you need a lot of courage to be able to do that. So that's a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything from you, Kush?
I can't think of a specific thing, but I think these daily sort of battles that we have about staying true to ourselves and what we believe in versus sort of assimilating into what the mainstream society's views are or ways of being are, right? Like, I guess even coming here, you can think of it as a form of courage, because it's like we're here questioning the status quo, right? In a way, like we're questioning what we've been doing for so many years to see, like, okay, how can we think differently? And most likely, even if we do have a change from this program, Monday when we meet our colleagues, they're gonna not agree with us, right?
Right.
So it's like we're doing something different, and I think that is a form of courage as well, to be okay to stand out, in a way that you're confident in.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, courage is very multifaceted, right? So from something physical to taking on a physical challenge, to change, to being able to be comfortable with who you are and what your expressions are. I mean, what about saying no to disruptive, damaging emotions? I mean, a lot of times we find, we come into situations where we are encountered with someone who is, not very friendly to us, or might not be, nice to us. And how do we deal with that? How do we encounter or handle really situations where there's negativity that comes to us? And do we become that? Do we let those emotions enter us? And do we, lash back in the same way? Or do we take a different stand? Do we take a different route? Do we not let some of these things affect us? And if they are starting to affect us, how do we stop that? Do we have the courage to stop that? Right? Saying sorry, that requires courage. If it's something like maybe to your mom or to your dad, less courage needed, because it's easy to say that. But if it's someone, a friend, a colleague, maybe a brother or sister, or someone else that you truly need to say sorry to, sometimes you have to muster the courage to be able to do that. So saying sorry also requires a lot of courage. And many things in life, right? Having difficult conversations require a lot of courage. especially if, I don't know what position you hold at Citibank, but if you're a manager, right, having difficult conversations with people about, promotions, or having difficult conversations about, hey, I don't think you're doing this the right way, and maybe we should do this. And anticipating what kind of reactions you're going to get. They're not always going to be positive, but do we have the courage to face that, right? So a lot of good examples. Thank you for sharing.
The last one was the big one,
Yeah.
where you have to have that indifferent conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
With people under you, and having let them know what is good and what is bad, especially the bad ones.
Right.
You don't know what the reaction is.
Right.
I think courage is key there, but again, courage helps you to also have that conversation in a way where you can construct that message,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which helps you to negotiate that conversation. I
Absolutely.
think courage helps us in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then what are some of the things that come in our lives that help test our resolve, test our courage? Things that might be there to weaken us. Because courage at the end of the day, right? All the examples you gave, it's internal, right? It's how do we not become weak? How do we keep our inner strength? Right? So what are some of the things that happen in life that test our courage, that want to break our resolve, break our courage?
There's a lot of groupthink, right? Like
Mhm.
in society where it's like majority have a certain idea, so
Mhm.
therefore everyone else has the same idea, and you're almost socially pressured to then have the same idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like in medicine, I can think of so many instances where it's like, well, the medical societies have this stance,
Mhm.
so therefore you should have the stance, and if you don't, then you'll be sort of like they'll go like, don't listen to him, he's like a crazy guy,
Right.
or you fear repercussions from the deans, like, well, he told the patient this, we should maybe get rid of him or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Like especially with the COVID-19 vaccine, there was a whole lot of this stuff, right? Where it's like people are sort of pushing you in a certain direction, and 90% of America's following that direction. But then if you really look at the data, a lot of it is a little, murky.
Results are very different,
Right,
Mhm.
exactly. And then, but if you take a stance and you say that in a clinical practice, now it's like, oh, like, let's make sure he doesn't come back here again,
Right.
or let's ostracize him. So those things really test you, right? Because
Mhm.
it's so much easier to just agree and be like, yeah, vaccines for everyone, like
Mhm.
everyone get the shot. So it's like, and that's the easier route, right? So it's like that courage sort of diminishes over time, especially when you feel like you're the only one taking a stand.
Right. So that fear, right?
Right.
So a lot of it is just fear of repercussions, fear of what will people think about me, fear of what will happen to me if I voice this opinion or that opinion. So yeah, very good. Lately, I mean, I've heard a lot of talk about politics, right? This whole Trump versus Kamala, a lot of sides, and I think especially in New Jersey and New York, it's just a very, very charged topic. So if you're on the other side of the argument there, it's very, very tough, to be able to have those conversations. But yes, exactly, right. And a lot of, I mean, one of the things that I can think of that come to mind in terms of just spirituality is just the mental, the emotional, the negativity that might come that helps to weaken our strength, our inner strength, right? A lot of times situations come and we feel sometimes defeated by them, right? And it's the negativity that we hold on ourselves, the wasteful thinking, right, that we have, saying, maybe I might never be successful. Maybe this is just not meant to be. I'll never get promoted. I can't go on my own. It's just too hard. And then it prevents us, and it weakens our resolve, it weakens our courage. Maybe, what you're doing in medicine, you really have a passion for. And then there are certain circumstances that come that push you not to do what you really want to do. And how do you handle that, right? So this inner feeling of, I can't, I won't, I'm not going to be successful, people are going to laugh at me, those kind of feelings really help to weaken us, right? and it's something that we need to be careful for. So having said all of this, right, what can we do to not let these things overrun us, right? Overcome us, especially when we know that having strength is a good thing. Being able to have courage, inner strength, inner resolve, what are some of the steps that we can take to help us keep our courage, right? And I know there are many. Some work for some people, some work for others. But is there anything that you've done in your lives that have helped you?
For me at least, like I play football, so it's
Mhm.
pretty tough, like day to day, because it's like a daily thing, 7 days a week. And I think the thing that helped me the most was not let the smallest things like affect me. It could be like getting subbed out for a play and being mad, and I won't let that affect me for more than like maybe a second, saying, "Oh, I need the break." And I'm gonna get put back in, and I think it's helped me play a lot better, and also just not letting anything small that's happening, like it can be in school, not only in practice, or just like maybe even like at my house or something small that happens. I can't let that affect me more than because I can't use all my like I guess courage in a sense on one thing and not pay attention to everything else that's going around.
Right,
That's how I play it out in my head at least.
right. Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, rolling with the punches sometimes and accepting, right, that this is what it is, and it's not a bad thing. It's just something I got to go through. Yeah. What else? What things have worked for you?
Acceptance. Acceptance of the day or acceptance of something as that has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Not crib about it. Does help. I'm just thinking, what are things when you're challenged, right? To do something like this year, right, I was told we have a big size team. You have to cut short some of them. Right? To make that call out of, I'm just giving you a random number, right? Out of 30 plus or 40 plus people, I have to cut short 2. Who are those 2? So the amount of courage, or rather the acceptance of it, that yes, I have to do this. It just took a toll. I couldn't sleep for 2-3 days figuring out. So I don't know, it's an Indian thing or it is in general for everybody. You start thinking of that person's kids, that person's
their family.
house,
Yes.
that person's family,
Yeah.
right? And for me, my team is not just Indian. I have every part of the world. I have people from that part, right? So, but for me, this was the first time I was doing something like that. It's not if I have it's like 40 and out of 40 I can choose any 2. It's not like that, right?
Right.
It has to be somebody. Yeah, it has to be that decision. It's a very calculated decision, right? To who can take this, right? Whether I should figure out that this person is a well-do person, and then let that
In
person
many
go.
different levels, you have to make a decision, right? It is not that, okay, who is doing better and not in that sense, but many
So,
other levels.
At that time, accepting that fact, and then I realized, okay, what should I do? I went my upper level, right? Not my manager, my manager's manager, I think, yeah, to have this conversation, and I was very, very open to him saying that I don't want to do this. Then him explaining about why is the need of it, and the courage, and then the same conversation. He said the courage, and it's the courage that you need to gather.
Right.
This is part and parcel of your role.
Right.
Right? It is not something new. It has been there in this world, and it's not that you're going to cut that guy off. He is going to find a new job. Maybe it will take 2 months or 3 months or 8 months, right? But he will eventually, or he or she will eventually get that. So it took on my part, it took a lot of courage for me to go and talk to him.
Right.
In my mind, for me, it was like whether that person will see me as a person who is requesting for help or a person who doesn't know what to do with his job.
Right.
That also had in my mind, I don't know what he's going to think. It's like, who did I care?
Yeah.
Right? Who is like getting scared or something like that. So, but it took real courage for me to go and ask him, I want to be very honest with this conversation. Right? So,
And
yeah, I think acceptance was key for me.
Mhm.
because I see that courage, the first step to courage is acceptance.
Yeah.
You have to accept the situation where it is, first of all. And when there is an acceptance, then to hold courage becomes very, very easy.
Correct.
Then you will able to make a decision out of it. Like it is like if there is a problem and you only worry about a problem, why this and why that,
Yeah.
and how to do it and what to do it, then you will not find a solution.
Yeah.
But once you accept that this has happened and I have to make a decision, then you will think for a solution. So that's where the courage will come. That now what I have to do. So because your attitude then gets changed. And instead of seeing why it has happened, you will look into that, okay, what is the best way to resolve it? How to resolve this situation, this condition. So that's where, so when you see it from the positive side of it, then only you will be able to hold that courage and bring that change. So accepting the change is the
Was the
most
key thing.
difficult thing. Once you accept it, then it becomes very easy to see what is good
Yeah.
and what is the best possible. Because we don't have everything in the world to do, right? But
Correct.
the only thing, given the situation, the circumstances, I have to make a right decision. So that can only happen once I accept the condition, whatever it is given to me.
Right.
Totally.
Very well
Yeah.
said.
Very well. Acceptance, seeking guidance, being objective, right? All of those things definitely helps.
Yeah, I think we should let our brain also think.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that's the thing. Because at time it's very difficult to be rationalized about things, right? And I think it's going to come to in his life also when he is becoming a doctor, when he has to do a surgery or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
This is part and parcel for him. For him, the same. He is into sports, so for him also is exactly the same thing.
Right.
It's acceptance is going to be one thing which it's going to be the most difficult part. I think.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my life, that was
Mm-hmm.
one thing I can say.
But like, see, the beauty of it is that when you do something new, something different, something challenging, when you do it very nicely,
Yeah.
then whenever you fall back, whenever you see that same event, you feel proud about yourself because you never let it go. The fears didn't made you make a wrong decisions, and you were not afraid by fears and all. So it shows a lot of things about you, right? And that side of you will give you, inspire you, or motivate you to do even better and go into unknown territories instead of like being afraid of that. Oh, I don't want to do that.
Right.
That is what people are afraid of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Change, that is what people are afraid of. And if you don't accept the change, then what? Then there is no newness in life also, right? If you don't accept the change, how will you find a new thing? You want everything to be new or good, but at the same time, I don't want to change anything of mine. How that is possible? It is not possible, right?
Yeah.
So it requires the courage to accept the change, but then it is for your own good.
Right. And then the next time you encounter the same situation, you'll be much better equipped
Right.
to deal with it, right? And you'll be much more confident in terms of what you need to do. So it's steps to success, right? Anything to share, Kush, for you?
I don't think mine is a good example.
Oh,
The
very
following
good
examples.
examples, yeah.
But I was just thinking, like, a method to make us more courageous is to, like, earlier I spoke about how others can weaken our strength. There's also many people in our lives who can
Mm-hmm.
increase our courage, right? Like, whether that be like a partner, like a wife, a husband, or, like parents also, right? They can make you more courageous if you know that even if you fail, or even if you don't get the result you want,
Mm-hmm.
at least they'll love you, right?
Right.
At least they'll accept you.
Yeah.
And you know that you always have their support.
Yeah. Having a
that-
great support system
yeah.
is wonderful. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fall back.
Right.
Fall back. And that's what I was saying when my dad left me. for me, there was no fallback after that. I was like, if I make a mistake, there's nobody there to tell me, you know, you did this, whatever you did was wrong or right. So that it changed my perspective of how life should be.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
Fallback is very key. You need help from it.
Yeah.
You cannot do it alone.
For sure. Some of the things that we've learned as well that I've found helpful in my life is self-talk, right? How do we talk to ourselves? Do we talk to ourselves in a really positive way that helps us overcome things in situations, or do we put ourselves down? This is horrible. How am I ever going to do this? This can't end well. These people are doing so well. Why me? Why did this happen? And the more you go down that rabbit hole and the more you spiral out of control, right, the lower you feel and the harder it is to come out and the harder it is to make a good decision or make the right decision or seek help, for the people that you need to seek help for. So how do we talk to ourselves? Do we tell ourselves it's okay? This happened. It's a step back. It's a setup. It's a setback, but I'll be stronger for it, or I'll be successful. It'll come. You have to go through some of hard knocks, right, to be able to do better. So having positive self-talk is so important, right? When you get into an argument or a fight or something like that with someone, after that is done, what are some of the thoughts that come into your head? Are we making it worse for ourselves? Are we taking a situation that was a minute long and expanding that to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour? Or are we trying to figure out, okay, what's the solution here? How do I make amends? How do I get over this, right? So that is something that I felt has helped tremendously. And the Brahma Kumari is one of the things that they teach here is Raja Yoga meditation, right? So meditating, taking some time, just, being and feeling, what do I have? What am I grateful for? I have so much, right? But when all these things come, that 99% of the things that are going well for you, you forget about it. And the 1% things that are not going well for you, that's where the focus is, right? And what do they say about focus? Where your focus goes, that's where energy flows, right? And if all your energy is in here, then what about all the good stuff that's happening? There's no focus there. So you're really doing yourself a disservice. So if you just spend a little time, quiet time, solitude, and meditate, what am I grateful for? What has God given me? What has life given me? Then these other problems become very small, right? Very minor in comparison. And then it's easier. The problem didn't go away, but your perspective changed. And it's easier to deal with it. It's easier to tackle it and say, okay, this is not a big deal. I can come through this. I can figure it out, right? And then you start taking those right steps. So these are some of the tools that I think, I've seen that really, truly help. And some of the ones that you've shared are also wonderful. Yeah. Thanks. Do we have time? Or do we?
No, yeah,
should we move?
Maybe we can do success maybe later on.
No, we
If you
can
want to.
we can switch. I mean, the other thing I wanted to do
Sure.
was I wanted to do a little bit of a role playing, because ultimately it's your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, right? And what if we had self-talk role play, right? We can do this quickly. It doesn't have to be a long session, but here's a scenario. What would you do if you suffered a major financial loss? What are some of the things, knowing what we talked about today? Say this situation came into your life. What are some of the things you would say to yourself to help you get through this, to have the courage to, overcome this situation? Right? The loss happened. Can't do anything now about that. It's irreversible. What do we do now? What are some of the things you would say to yourself?
For me at least, I think I would probably think about what my coach told me. I got injured this season and it was pretty bad, but in a way, he kind of told me it's something that like stuck with me for a little while. It's you shouldn't dwell on what happened or what is happening. It's just in your head, you should think about how hard you're gonna come back and what you're gonna do to get back harder than you were before, better than you were before. You can't let these setbacks that you just had, whether it be now, whether it be a year ago, hold you back from what you can be better than you were a year ago.
So look forward. Don't dwell on where we are now.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Wonderful. What about you? Stock market lost 80%. What do you do?
And I can't say that, okay, everything that happens for the best, right?
Uh-huh.
This might not be the best thing that happened. But I think at that point of time, this is never going to come back. So I think what I'm going to try and see is trying to figure out how do I place myself when you have a house, you have a car, like we were talking about. Right? I have to think through that
What are the options?
what are
Yeah.
my options, right?
You have to lay out on the table what are the options.
Correct.
And
And
then-
what is the minimum things that I need, to come out of this? I mean, I will not be able to get out of the major financial loss in a year or so, right? So I need to have a plan. And for that, my head has to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
I should have that courage
Mm-hmm.
to figure out first, again, in this case, the main thing is going to be, again, the acceptance of it, right? Because that's the key. Unless I accept that I have a major financial loss, I will not be able to put my options on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Very true.
So as quickly as I gather that courage to accept this and lay out the plan, what are the what are the 3 or 4 top things that I have to handle first, right? To make sure that my family is not suffered, right? And get to the minimums of it. And the next part will be is how will I stand back up, right? So I will have to prioritize those. Those would be the inner talks that I should have. Again, it might not be on the first day itself I'll come out of this, because this will be a major problem. Like you said,
Sure. Yeah.
80% of the stock market are down, right?
Yeah.
Few people might take some drastic steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you are responsible, you have a family, you cannot do that. I think that's the talk I will do myself is, you know what, it happened. Maybe not the best for you, but still it happened, right?
What do I
What are
need to
the
change?
Key things that I want
Yes.
to change, make
Yes.
sure that my son, my wife, right? And I have a beautiful puppy. So what am I going to do? The minimum stuff, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that they are not impacted,
Right.
right? So that's how I will play myself.
Wonderful.
in the situation.
I love the fact that you didn't say, I'm going to wallow or be stuck and go in a corner for, a few days. And then, none of those things will help, right?
Correct. That
Situation's
might
not going to change, right? You can do that.
Yeah.
But nothing.
And the difference in there is, like, maybe I'm wrong, but the difference is I have somebody who's dependent on me.
Mhm.
I think that changes your thinking perspective as well. And a different person who does not have anybody dependent to it might go dwell for 3-4 more days than me.
Mhm.
But eventually he will also come back because he has to.
He has to.
live,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dwelling part might be different. The time frame might be different, or people depending on in what situation they are.
Right. But remember, we're trying to figure out what is going to help us the most.
Correct.
Even if you dwell, even if you had the luxury to dwell
Yeah.
on something
exactly.
bad, is it going to
will
help
have to-
you?
No, it's you will come eventually out, and you will have to put down that plan.
Right.
That's what I'll do. I'll prioritize the first thing, acceptance, then prioritize what all things, what all.
Yeah.
I cannot get everything, so minimum 4 or 5 steps that I have to do to make sure that
Yeah.
we are back on our foot.
Push.
I think they hit the major ones. The only other one I can think of is just like long-term thinking about, like, what could I have done to prevent this loss, to make sure that I change my behavior, whether it be like risky investments or maybe you loan money to somebody who you knew was already a bit
Yeah.
of a loose character, right? So like to prevent yourself from making the mistake again. Because yes, we can come back from, 1 or 2 losses, but if the behavior keeps repeating itself, then it's very dangerous.
It's a long-term thing. I love that because now you're saying, what have I learned? This event that happened, it didn't happen for nothing.
Yeah.
I actually I'm learning something because, and to prevent something like this from happening in the future. So it wasn't a complete waste because it opened my eyes, it opened my mind, and now I know I have to change something, right? So there's a benefit even in the loss, right? You might say it's not commensurate, but there's a benefit there. Thank you. Wonderful. Another situation. How do you handle a job that has not given you a promotion in 15 years? I've been working. I'm stuck.
15 years is too long, man.
I'm stuck. I don't have a promotion. No one appreciates me. No one values me. What do you say to yourself?
Oh, I better find a new job. And it also talks about fact that I did not get promotion, but there has to be a reason for it. Now that reasons could be XYZ, right? It doesn't matter. But how do you overcome from that reason as well?
Self-evaluation.
Yes.
Very good.
Evaluation would be very key on what happened.
Mhm.
I mean, again, the fact here is 15 years is a long, long time, right, for you to wait for a promotion. So, how important was for you to get a promotion? Also comes into this.
So what you're saying is very practical, which is nice. But what do you say to yourself so that you are not down? So your mind doesn't go into a depressive mode. That's more I'm kind of
Understood.
how do you stay courageous? Whether you decide to find a new job, that's great. You can stay, you can find something else.
It's going to be a little
But in the
difficult for me.
meantime, yeah, what do you say to yourself? That's what I'm trying to get to. You know, I mean, I know you haven't started your career path yet, but you know, if you get stuck and you're not moving up in whatever endeavor you're part of, what are some of the things you can tell yourself to keep your mind happy, to keep yourself stable, so that you don't go into a depressive? Because the problem is, right, and there's a stat, the World Health Organization has said that now at this time, one of the greatest diseases in the world are mental health diseases, self-imposed issues, right, that we take on, whether it be stress or whether it be depression or whether it be all sorts of, you know, illnesses that we've created for ourselves because we are not well equipped to handle situations when they come, and we become completely negative, right? So this self-talk is so important. And when things like this happen, I'm not saying this will happen to you or should happen to you or anything, but it can happen. And then when it does happen, will you be defeated by it? Or do you have the courage to get through? Yeah. So we can keep going. Yeah. You and a good friend have not spoken in 10 years. You had a fight where you said very hurtful things to one another. What do you say when you see him? Do you ignore him? Do you say, all right, it was 10 years ago. He's not my friend anymore. I don't care. Or do you take a different path?
And a good friend. Good friend is somebody you will remember. Right? I think 10 years is a long time for you to go back and analyze what all things you could have done different at that point of time, right? So what do you say when you see him? I would say sorry. Is if there were some hurtful things said by me or by him, right? But there should be some situation which had caused that to happen, right? Either I would say sorry to him because I said something very bad, or sorry for us to be in that situation where we had to say wrong things about each other. But I will never let him go because if he was a good friend of mine, there was a reason for that.
Yeah.
So I will hold on to that relationship, though it is 10 years or 15 years. And probably I would also think that why it's very situational.
I can tell you're very analytical. It has what happened, how did it happen, yeah. But what do you say to yourself to get you to the point where you say sorry?
That's what
Right.
I was saying. Like, I'll analyze that.
Yeah. Is it even important after 10 years? What happened, whatever happened, is it
I
important?
think it is important to know what happened. Right. 10 years back is the maturity level that you had 10 years back than the maturity level
Mm-hmm.
that you have today. Right? Probably it depends on the responsibilities you have. But those two are two different things because in 10 years, a lot changed.
A lot of change, yeah.
You might even, when you are saying this thing, you might not even think about a second opinion at that point of time.
Mhm.
You were bold enough to say whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah.
But if similar situation happens today, I might not do it because I have
Right.
a better mind, a better
Wisdom maybe.
yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of wisdom.
Ability to forget and forgive.
Forgive and forget, yeah. I like this example because it's less about your friend and what that person did. It's more about
what are you going to do?
more about how you handle relationships is a testament to who you are. If it's a good friend, regardless of what happened, they're a good friend, right? In your mind, if you can think of and you remember all the good times, all the positive things that that person helped me with, and usually, there's 1,000 good things for a couple of not so good things, right? But our focus again goes to what? It goes to that couple of bad things. And then when we, as an analytical person, what would you weigh more, the 1,000 or the 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
But we don't tend to do that, right? And the more we can talk to ourselves in this way, I'm grateful for this person. I remember what he did for me. Did this, this, and this. Whatever he did, it was 10 years ago. I'm not perfect. How can I expect him to be perfect, right? I'm sure I did something to him as well, right, that he might not have liked. And the more you talk to yourselves in this way and focus on the positive, focus on the good, your mind will automatically gravitate that way. And guess what? In the future, you'll have less of these situations.
You might have to wait for 10 years.
And you don't, yes. Anything more to add before I pass it? All right.
But 10 years for him will be 5 years.
Right. Hey, Bhagway.
I think we are almost coming to an end.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll not do the success. Maybe we can do some another schedule it some another time, and we can do this the success part of it. But yeah, definitely. So what I have been hearing for courage, right? So I think there was one thing which was shared where it was negative, right? So what are some things that taste or weaken our inner strength? Actually, there are some. It is not that every time you will come out to be always positive or great and always with zeal and enthusiasm. Some situations will really test you and can bring you down. But it is a part and parcel of life, actually. In what sense is that because when things like, say, for example, you made a decision, right? Like any unknown territory you will reach, then you will have certain options. And based on those options, you will think that maybe I should do this, maybe this will work, because you are unknown about it, right? You have never experienced those kind of things. So when you enter into those things, at that moment, you will try your best at that time, right? Whether this will work or this will work. And say, for example, whatever you selected and made, and it did not give a expected result. I don't have to, so in those cases, what we do, then we think, oh, I am a loser, I'm a failure, I did not do it well. But it was a completely unknown situation to you, there was no experience with it. When you make a decision based on that, even though you met a failure, still it is okay. Why? Because you learn something from it, so that next time you will not commit a mistake, right? So, so it is adapting a change. If you don't adapt a change and you will say, okay, I'm not going to do it at all, and you are not going to make any decision and not go into unknown territory, you will never be able to see the other side of it, right? So it is always a win. Whether you are failing in those situations is also a win, because you are learning something from it, and from that learning you will see that you will move forward, right? Like, say for example, a baby, when the baby is born, doesn't know how to walk, but the baby sees each and everyone walking, right? So what the baby tries to do? Keeps on making an attempt, keeps on falling, keeps on making everyone is walking, I am not walking, let me make an attempt, let me make. So it could be maybe 100 attempts, it could be 1,000 attempts, but it will keep on making an attempt, and each time there is a failure, but each time the baby is learning something, right? That maybe I have to look down when I walk. When I walk, I have to maintain my balance. There are so many learnings which happen in that fall, maybe 1,000 times fall. But then the baby starts walking, right? So any failure is also not a failure. If you don't consider that to be a failure, then it is a way to move forward, actually. Right? So that is why we should never let go of our courage, for whatever it is. Right? Do your best, make your best decision, use all your strengths, right? Being positive, being optimistic, and then come to a decision of something, right? And then try it out, because if you don't try it out, you will never know it whether it is good or not, right? So you have to take that first step of courage, and that will come from acceptance. It comes from understanding and all of that, because life is not like everything it will come to you everything knowingly. You will find most of the time whatever situations you come across is always sudden. It is always going to astonish you. But at that time, I have to have courage, accept it. Okay, this situation has come. How can I deal with it? What I can do with this, right? And do your best judgment and best choice, and then implement it. And that is the beauty of it, right? That you will be thrown into water, but then you learn how to swim, right? So that is also, so it is a beauty. So if you see it, like in our study, many times there was recently, I think there was one point of knowledge where it was said that when you see things coming to you like abruptly, when it could be challenges or all of that, consider that to be a gift to you. And gift is always a surprise, right? It is covered with a very beautiful decoration and all of that. So there is always a surprise, but see it as a gift, that it is going to give you something. It will give you some lessons of life, which will really be helpful in the forthcoming time when I am going to be on this journey. Or means it will tell you something, it will unwrap something which is of not known to you. It comes as a situation, but it will give you more maturity, it will give you more understanding, it will give you more compassion, it will give you more empathy. So it will grow something in you so beautifully that it will make you more bigger in terms of understanding, in terms of embracing things and all of that. So always see it from that perspective. Then you will always take things lightly, and then have courage to go for it, and not be just sit and then whatever the life is going on, just go with that, because then there is no joy, there is no enthusiasm, there is no hope, nothing is there. Why? Because its life is just monotonous, right? Like working in a one company, everything will be same people, same conversation, same things. You will be bored after 10-15 years. So in that sense, so there is always a change which is required, and change comes automatically. Only thing I need to embrace it. Once I embrace it, then everything is good. Right? You can see how much changes we have done, technological, how much change it is. But it is all good if you accept it. And those who did not accept it, right, they don't go grow career wise also. They don't grow in social life also. They cannot grow. Why? Because they think that I am very away from it and people use it socially. I am not using it. All of that can happen. But if you go with the flow, that is how it is. That's what life is about, right? But yeah, there is always some. Uh, I would say there are failures, there are success, whatever it is, but it is part and the parcel of life, and that's how you grow, right? So there is nothing. It is not like failure or failure. It is my way of looking at thing that it is a failure, but it may not be a failure, right? So it is just a perception. So have this perception, then no matter what happens in life, I still am positive, have an optimistic outlook. Then, like whatever scenarios Palak Bhai shared, right? So then in all these scenarios, I will come out to be best. So this is an art which I need to learn in life, right? That always be optimistic, see what you can do best, and if you do that, that's more than enough, and that will give you many different beautiful experiences of life, whether it is relationship, whether it is a career, whatever it is, wherever you are, you can grow when you learn from people, from situations, right? Giving and having a positive outcome. Okay, so we want to conclude with some self-reflection. Okay. So any position is fine, but make sure your foot is grounded nicely. Put your arms also in a rest position or like this, doesn't matter. Don't hold anything if you have a like that pen or something, just put it aside, right? So just relax yourself. So the Raj Yoga meditation, which we practice here, doesn't have any specific posture, but it is all about how I channelize my mind. That's all. And keep your mind very positive by creating positive thoughts, being hopeful, use virtues in life, and so that you channelize in such a way that your mind becomes very, very positive and very powerful. So then I see things in that light. That's all. Om Shanti. For a few moments, reflect with yourself by connecting to your true self and see yourself as a very positive, hopeful being. Being very kind and generous, as who I am. I want to see the world also with that kindness and love. The way I appreciate and respect myself, let me have respect and regard for everything out in the world. I know that I am responsible for many things, and I want to fulfill my responsibilities. But the ideal way to fulfill responsibilities is to stay peaceful and calm within, to maintain that love and respect for the self, and then fulfilling responsibility. Because a sense of satisfaction comes from being and not only just doing. Yes, I have to do. I have to take care of things. But I can take care of things when I really take care of my true self. And taking care of myself is I don't get challenged or bothered by pressures, by people's opinion. I have to work with my true self. And my true self is being loving, being respectful, and valuing everyone's worthiness. And when I maintain this, it becomes very easy to fulfill responsibilities. Then I bring a balance between a being and a doing. And so, while doing, I want to be what I am really. I am a hopeful being, having zeal and enthusiasm, having a positive outlook. And so let me hold this pure vision for myself. And this pure vision will help me to do things in a better way. Om. Om Shanti. So, thank you very much. It was good.
Yes.
Yeah. If you would not have come, I don't know what we would have done. So it was good. You all came and it was very nice sharing. Right. Even though we prepared for this, but you all came abruptly, like unprepared, and the kind of things which you have shared is very, very beautiful. So I really appreciate.
I was asking my wife, is there another session for this? I came from India yesterday, so I was very jet lagged.
Oh,
I
okay.
was telling her,
Till you
probably
made it.
not a good day to go. But I was
Okay.
asking her, is this the only session or are they going to do some more sessions?
All
She said,
right.
why do you care? I mean, just go for this one and see what it is.
Okay, good, very
And
good.
it will be to her.
So, question for
No.
you is, if we did more of these types of sessions, would you be interested? Is the time frame right? Is it, do you want it to be longer? Do you want it to be
No,
shorter?
this
This is fine. Okay.
Yeah, we can do this. I think means that we can take up many different topics like this, and so that, and we can share and learn from one another, right? So, That is what our aim was. We thought that, okay, let's start with one and then see how it goes and then what we can do. So you can invite your friends, family, anyone, right? Colleagues, and we can have bigger group. And I think slowly, gradually, the awareness will be there. So there will be more people. So the more people are then there could be more sharing. It could be more based on like small groups. We can have sharing and all. So we can do that next time. Okay,
My
so
wife
it's
is a big believer. And she saw this. You had that event, right? Sent it to all the groups.
okay.
But this December is the time where a lot of people are not in place. They are
Yeah, right.
on
Yeah,
vacation,
so
right?
no, we'll do
But
it.
we have some
Yes.
yeah, probably that's the reason.
Sure. Okay, so we have a blessing and a toli, which we call, is nothing but a sweet prasad, which is prepared in God's remembrance. So it's a very high energy food. Okay, so come. Yeah. Rishi, right? What a beautiful name you have, right? Okay, pick one. Yeah. Read it out. What is it?
Your generous heart is a pillar of mercy and peace in a peaceless world.
Wow, that's so good. Welcome.
I'm hoping you will follow that. Okay. The light in your eyes and the peace in your heart enable you to see pathways that lead from darkness into truth.
Great.
Wow. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Green one.
Sure.
You possess a royal mind, one that treats knowledge with great respect and love. I'm
Good.
okay with just the blessing. I don't want to have any sweet with that.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Thank you. It was great.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, yeah, you can keep it here.
We actually put it on the back table. That's where they are.
Yeah, sure.
Fine too.
That would be fine too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.